Welcome back to the breakdown of science. I'm Jan,
I'm Michelle.
And I'm Maruf.
and today is our second Q&A episode. First, we have a few questions regarding our AI episode in relation to it. So the first question, are there evaluations on competition, prioritization, or quote-unquote war between AI and blockchain technology platform farms on dispersion of natural resources required for their establishment and operation? This is something that we did look a bit into when we were first researching the episode, and especially now. And we uh, there a specific isn't any specific studies that look at AI and blockchain directly competing for natural resources. So most of what we can say is still just speculation, but both use a lot of energy, hardware, water, and physical space. And while research has looked at their impacts separately, it hasn't really compared them head to head. That said, since they are often since they often do need similar resources and are growing in the same areas technologically, it's possible that they could start to bump into each other. If not later, they most definitely have. They most definitely have at this point started to, but probably will probably do bump more as time goes on. So that's something that probably deserves a closer look and to keep an eye on as things progress.
Yeah. The second question regarding AI was if it just recognizes patterns and not really think, and if it should be worried about it making big decisions for us. Well, we generally think that we should be cautious. I mean, even if AI is just recognizing patterns and not truly thinking in a human sense, there's concern that AI has intentions or as in like consciousness that it can still influence or make decisions with real world consequences based on the concern isn't that the concern isn't that AI has intentions or consciousness, but it still can influence or make decisions with real world consequences based on the patterns that it learns from the data. So these patterns can reflect existing biases, miscontext, or even be based on incomplete or flawed information. Yeah.
And yeah, so when we use AI in super important areas, like when we decide who get hired and who doesn't, and who get justice, and also in criminal and healthcare, in criminal justice areas and also in healthcare, even small errors or biases in pattern recognition can lead to unfair or really harmful outcomes. The real issue isn't whether AI is thinking, but whether we are trusting it. We are trusting AI to act in ways that could affect people's life without enough transparency, for sure. So, and also not only transparency, accountability or oversight should also be looked at. So while AI doesn't decide like a person, its influence on decisions still demands careful scrutiny.
Yeah, and moving to a bit more of a general science related questions. First up, we have diamonds are materials known for their exceptional hardiness and durability. What is used to form diamond jewelry that was around long before any new material or tools technology? So, from what we were able to find before modern tools and materials, other diamonds were used to shape and cut diamonds. And it's due to their exceptional hardiness that only another diamond could effectively cut or polish one. From what we saw, ancient artisans, especially in India, where diamonds were first mined and worked on, used diamond dust or small diamond splinters to grind and polish rough stones into jewelry. So, not just diamonds, but most gems. This method predates modern cutting tools and was the primary technique for shaping these diamonds for a few centuries.
So still today a core principle is widely used. So modern diamond tools such as saw blades, drill bits, grinding wheels, and diamond sandpaper are embedded with diamond dust or industrial diamond particles to cut diamond with diamond. These tools are used not only for shaping gemstones, but also for cutting and polishing extremely hard materials like ceramics, glass, and other metals.
Yeah, I really think it's cool that this, like the original method that is used for diamonds, can be now used for many things. I think that's
Even back then, it wasn't only just used on. Like, now the methods are used in other stuff as well, but even back then, these tools, because of diamonds' hardness, was probably used in a lot of similar things for hard surfaces to be able to cut, depending on how much there is. And one thing is to add, like, depending on how you view this, it feels a bit maybe wasteful to use diamonds to grind other diamonds because of how scarce we view diamonds as. But one thing to keep in mind is that the diamond scarcity that we that's mentioned all the time when it comes to the topic of diamonds, like just rings and jewelry, is a bit. It's a mainly man-made issue by companies just hoarding a lot of diamonds and then just selling them at small amounts to cause this scarcity to just increase the prices of them. And then there's also the lab-grown or natural diamond, which chemically they're both completely the same thing. In that regard, you won't be able to see much. The main difference is that and I have to look this into more, but for natural diamonds, there could be impurities in it from the ground of its running and stuff, which does impact its price, and how much of it can be cut into a quote-unquote pure diamond. But getting, for example, like for a ring or whatever, if you absolutely need a diamond, getting a lab-grown or a normal, natural diamond is more or less fine. But in my opinion, getting any sort of design that's like significant to you is probably much more important. But that's a tangent for another day. But yeah, diamonds have been used for like a bunch of stuff, probably even before jewelry.
Yeah. Thanks for that information. I didn't know about that. Well, now I know. Yeah. The next question has sadly nothing to do with diamonds, but what does it take to
stuff from the ground?
Still from the ground, exactly. What does it take to vaporize the steel? So to vaporize the steel, you must heat it around 3000 degrees Celsius. The actual number is 2862, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's the number that it needs to reach its boiling point, and you also need a supply of a huge amount of energy, roughly around 6,300 kilojoule per kilogram, just for the phase change from liquid to gas. And this process requires far more energy than simply melting the steel, and it's typically achieved only with extreme technologies like high-powered lasers, plasma torches, or electric arcs. Vaporizing the steel is not practical with the conventional heat sources and only occurs in controlled lab settings or even under like really extreme conditions like nuclear explosions. So yeah, it's not that common.
Yeah, and this probably came from watching those videos where people hit a molten steel, molten metal, and it just flies all over the place, sparkling and just like exploding and stuff. And that's probably not vaporization, but more of just very aggressive reaction with the atmosphere. Because once you splatter the metal, it forms into smaller droplets which have a bigger surface area, and so the heat transfer between the metal and the atmosphere is much higher, and so there's a more violent reaction causing those sparks and stuff. So while a few might end up, that reaction might have caused some of them to heat enough to vaporize, most of them probably just had rapid cooling happening to them and not actually vaporize. So that's something to keep in mind when you watch those type of videos. Onward to the next question, and this one is a bit of it's related to a previous question we got in our previous Q&A episode regarding electromagnetism. So, regarding the effects of electromagnetic fields, is it studied how and how much affect to our bodies the MRI scanners that present days use at 3 Tesla strength? And yeah, there's most definitely studies. The electromagnetic fields produced by modern 3 Tesla MRI scanners have been extensively used and are generally considered safe for patients when safety guidelines are followed. And of course, these are certainly studied because they are used in interaction with people daily, especially with patients at a hospital. So from the accounts from people that we were able to find, we saw that while some people may experience temporary effects like dizziness or a metallic taste during the scanning, no long-term harmful effects have been proven in healthy individuals. Some people have stuff like claustrophobia, which causes them to have more of an anxiety to the enclosed space of the MRI, or some might be a bit scared from the just noise that the MRI produces. And that could cause some stress, but that's not an effect of the electromagnetic field itself, and more just of the surroundings. So the regulatory agencies have set strict exposure limits, and special precautions are taken for individual groups, especially for such as pregnant women or those with implants. Overall, 3T MRI electromagnetic exposure is accepted as safe in clinical practice.
Yeah, so while 3T is also a strong magnetic field, but it's still well within established safety limits for medical use. So the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protections, uh, they guided like 3T should be okay for us, but for occupational exposure, like people who work with these machines regularly, like MRI technologists, like ICNIRP recommends a limit of up to 8 Teslas for static magnetic fields to the limbs and the lower 2T for head and trunk. For the general public, as you said, like the recommend limit for any part of the body is significantly lower, which is around 0.4 T, like 400 millitesla, we can say, reflecting on a safety factor that accounts for a broader range of individuals and uncontrolled environment. Yeah.
The next question that we had is what is the effect of different types of music on heart rate and mood?
Yeah, for sure. So different types of musics can significantly influence heart rate and moods by affecting the autonomic nervous system and emotional centers in the brain. Fast-paced, upbeat music like, for example, pop or dance typically increases heart rate, often boosting energy and positive mood. In contrast, slow and calming music, such as classical music or ambient music, tends to slow the heart rate, and it also promotes relaxation and reduces stress and anxiety. So music with a strong rhythm can also synchronize with heartbeats, influencing psychological states.
Additionally, personal preferences and cultural background play important roles in how music affects the mood and the heart rate, making the response somewhat individual. And that's why, for some people, listening to heavy metal is way more relaxing than listening to jazz. So, at the end of the day, listen to what you like and what helps you, whatever that may be. Yeah. Another question that you guys had was if we could talk about CRISPR and its impact on science as a gene editing technique. So, CRISPR has completely changed the way scientists approach genetics because, before editing genes was slow, expensive, and often imprecise, but CRISPR made it much easier to target specific DNA sequences and make the edits quickly and accurately. And this obviously has opened up way more huge possibilities. So researchers can use it to develop treatments for genetic diseases like sickle cell anemia and muscular dystrophy, to engineer crops that can survive, drought or resist pests, and also better understand how genes work by easily turning them on or off in the lab. Yeah.
Yeah, and it has even been explored in cancer therapy and also in infectious disease research. And the impact is so big that CRISPR has gone from a lab tool to a potential medical revolution. For example, it was earlier this month that when it was used to create a personalized gene therapy that saved a baby named KG Muldan that was born with a genetic disorder that affected his body's ability to actually metabolize the proteins that it's getting.
Yeah, so but it's also sparked debates about where to draw the line, especially with editing human embryos or making changes that could be passed down through generations, and there could be a lot of debate around it, and there could be a different podcast only on it.
Yeah, that's definitely a topic that we'll probably cover sometime soon and go into deeper on it. But I think for now, this is a good preview of what's to come. Now, we also had a question, more personal for us. And would slowing down the speed of the scrolling of the DNA double helix illustration animation on our videos help in increasing the perception of your narrative and dialogue. So the animation that we are currently using for our videos is actually a small part of a bigger one that we have yet to fully finish. So that means that it's not fully completed yet. As for the speed, the animation is currently at 16 frames per second. As to us, that is what looked the smoothest in terms of its transfer between frames. But for this episode, we can try to slow it down to half that speed, so at around 8 frames per second. So you can let us know if it fits the video better, if it's smoother. As for the possession of your narrative and dialogue, the animation is just there to keep space. It isn't the main focus of our videos. The main focus is the discussions that we're having. The idea is for these podcasts to be something that you can put in the background while you do other work or do other activities. The reason we have an animation is just there so that it's not just a boring black screen if you want to keep the window of the animation open. But again, for this episode, we can slow it down to 6 FPS, and please let us know if that seems a lot better for you. Anyway, that's all the questions that we've received this time around. Thank you, all of you who submitted questions first. They've been quite nice. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Yeah, and please continue sending us questions or comments or even feedback. And yeah, we'll appreciate it. We'll take a look and save them for the next time. Bye.
Surely. Bye.
Bye.